Welcome to Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content from across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and in this episode, we're chatting with Elena, also known as Geek and Pink on Instagram. In just under a year, she's turned her passion for board games into an Instagram account with well over 12,000 followers. Elena, welcome to the binge. How you doing?
Hi, I'm fine, thanks, James. And you?
I'm doing great. So for people who are listening, you have no idea what we're doing right now, but for people watching, we are covering half our faces, which is the whole iconic look of Elena, her whole hook on Instagram, which I think is just absolutely awesome. It's iconic. Certainly you've entered into, I think, what we call the board game lexicon. So if people are thinking of different iconography and images that are ubiquitous across the board game industry, your half face is literally everywhere. So I think that's something that most people would probably recognize when they see.
I hope.
So let's start off at the beginning. I want to kind of just go right back in time. So for people that are listening and people that are watching, Elena's joining us from Mexico, right? So your first language is Spanish. Your second language is English. So bear with us through this interview. There might be some words that we can't quite place at the time, but we're going to get through it. And we're just super appreciative to have you here on our podcast. And your first podcast, I would say. So yay. Board Game Binge, woohoo! First ones, yay! It's always good.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's awesome having you. So you're joining us from Mexico. So whereabouts in Mexico are you joining us from?
I'm from Guadalajara in Jalisco.
Okay.
You know, mariachi, tequila is from here. Yeah.
I think most people know the tequila, so that's a good helping piece there, right?
Yeah, that's from Guadalajara. Remember that.
And so, what do you do in Mexico? What are you still in lockdown right now, or is things starting to open up, or?
The things are starting to open up. People are starting to care a little less about this, but always wearing a mask. You know.
Okay.
The vaccines are getting here slowly, but getting here. So everything is bringing back to normally,
So people are starting to get back to work and things like that?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, like their bosses, realized that it was easier for them to stay at home. And a lot of people are going to stay at home like forever. But the ones that can go back are going back, Yeah,
I think that's something on a global level that we're starting to see is that, with a lot of people starting to work from home over this past year, out of necessity, quite frankly. It's interesting, I think, to see the next year to come, right? And to see how our business is going to change. And are you going to see some offices staying permanently decentralized with their workers, remotely located? Or will we start seeing people actually return to the main cities and to the city centers and so forth? I think that'll be interesting to see. I don't know if it will ever get back to...
I don't think it will ever go back to normal. You know, like every time we're going to need to use hand sanitizer and the masks. I think they're going to stay there for a long time. Well, maybe a year or so.
Yeah, or longer. It could be just like if you look in like Japan, for instance, right? Or even China, you'll see a lot of people in public transport, even before the pandemic, wearing masks, right?
When they were sick, like for not contagion the other people or something. I think they were it for that. Right?
Or just to protect themselves from environmental pollutants and things like that. So I think that this is now, I think, made masks more comfortable for people to wear. I mean, people obviously would rather not wear masks, but I think a habit is starting to form where for many years to come, I think you're still going to see here in North America, people wearing masks just to give them that added level of protection and so forth, right? So, So what do you do? What do you do in Mexico? What's your, other than, doing great, Instagram shots of half faces, what's your job? Do you have a job or what do you do in Mexico?
Right now, I don't have a job. I work as a homestay mom. I used to be a model, and I model like for, I don't know, like 8 years or something.
Wow.
Yeah. And I even moved to the capital here in Mexico. So I can do that because that was like my dream at that time. So it was great. It was my passion back then. But now I'm very happy as a mom, as a homestay mom. Yeah, I really love that.
Did you find that some of the experience you had in modeling, did that help you bridge into kind of these Instagram shots where like you're showing your face, right? And if I think of like Instagram with a lot of people, often it's pictures of the games themselves, or they might just do a quick kind of cheesy shot, but it's a vulnerable thing to constantly have your face be the image, right, of your brand, which you've done very effectively, right, on your channel. So was it your modeling that's helped you do that, or?
Maybe it did. I don't know. When I started, I never think that would help me or something. I used to see always like great people, well, great shots of games, and I was like, oh my God, but I'm not a photographer. I love doing the shots, but I'm not a professional photographer. So I prefer to show like have my face in the game.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it worked because I always have like a profile. When I model, I used to do only this profile.
Yeah.
So maybe that helped me, and I don't know. I'm very happy doing it. I love to show the artwork on the covers.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. And so how long have you been playing board games for? Is this something you've played your whole life, or when did you get into the industry?
Yeah, it was like something that was always on my life. Like I'm very close to my family, and since I was like 10 years, we used to play board games like the Friday night, but the normal board game. Well, not the normal, but the games that everyone plays, you know, like Uno. Okay. Well, in here in Mexico, it's not Monopoly, it's Turista, but we play that. And it was like all the time. Since I can remember, we had board games everywhere. And then like, it was like 7 or 8 years ago that I started realize that there was more board games than I could think of, you know? Mm-hmm. And I fell in love with them. And it was like an obsession when the pandemic starts.
Yeah.
So I had to do that.
So was it the pandemic that was the key kind of catalyst for you that got you to really start collect? I think you collect a lot of games. Like you got a lot of games on your channel, right?
Yeah. Right now I have a lot of board games. Yeah, it was the pandemic because when it started, well, before I could go out, I'm not usually the girl that goes out every time, but I like to go out once in a while.
Sure.
But I was like stuck at home with my baby all day long. So I started like all day watching Watch It Played, The Dice Tower, like watching every kind of games and what they could tell me like, oh, this is a great game. And I was like, oh my God, I need to get this game. And I watched like how to play it and people playing the game like all day long. And I had I have a friend and I talk with her all day long about board games. And I said, this is not normal. Okay, I need to do something about it because yeah, she's getting sick of me. My husband is getting sick of this also. And I was like, oh my God, I need to do something about it. And I started the Instagram like last August.
Yeah, it was August 1st, I think, was your first post.
Yeah.
So when you had this constant wave of games showing up at your doorstep, did your husband at some point say like, enough is enough, or was he passionate enough about the industry that you had somebody at least to play with?
Well, I always had someone to play. Well, he's always there.
Yeah.
But sometimes he's like, today let's watch a movie, please, please, please. And I'm like, no, I need to play this one. I really wanted to play this one. And he's like, okay, I'll play it, but then we can watch a movie. I'm like, okay, I'll watch a movie with you. But he now realized that, well, I'm good at it and he's my support. So he has to be there. He has to play with me because if he's not there, who is, you know?
Yeah.
My parents and my brothers play with me, but only easy games. So when it comes to a hard game, I'm like, I need you, please.
And you usually win, I guess, is what the short story here is, right? You're usually the one that wins, or?
No.
No?
I mean, usually the one that gets to have fun there. Well, my husband is pretty good at every game that he plays. I don't know why, but it's like, I don't know, every time that we play, he like 70% of the time wins over me. And I'm like, oh my God, well, at least I have fun, right?
Yeah, I'm like that with my wife. She destroys me every single time we play. And even if it's the first time she's ever played the game, yeah, she wins.
But it's normal, right?
Yeah, I think it's that way too, right? Like they're going for the throat and they know how to kind of take you down. And
Yeah.
so is there like board game groups, like meetup groups and so forth in Mexico that you've been able to be part of? Or is that something that you can be part of maybe once the COVID is kind of passed and everything
Yeah.
opens up? Or
I'm waiting for the COVID to kind of pass, you know.
yeah,
I already had my vaccines,
okay,
but here in Mexico, people under 40 are not vaccinated yet.
okay,
Yeah, it's going pretty slow here.
yeah.
So I'm waiting for that because I'm dying to tell people that love board games to play with me. Like, oh, come on, please play with me. I need someone to play games.
That's a.
But I'm waiting for that.
Have you tried in a digital format at all since the
No, I
no?
have never played in TTS.
Yeah, so there's Tabletop
Yeah.
Simulator for people listening.
Yeah.
There's Board Game Arena is another great one where you can Tabletopia, right? So these are all different.
Board Game Arena, I have tried it.
Yeah.
Like when the pandemic
Sure.
started, I was like, yeah, playing games there, but it wasn't my cup of tea. I like it, but I prefer the, playing, putting everything on the table and seeing everything displayed there.
Yeah.
It's like my thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to replicate a tactile format, right? In a digital, no matter how good and how slick the digital format is, you can never replace the tactile feel. I think it was Board Game Girl Just when we were talking about, for me, where I find Tabletop Simulator falls short is you can manipulate the pieces like you would in a normal board game. Yeah. But when you're playing at a table with friends, right? And if I look at my cards, they're up close, and then I look down at the table, and then instantly back at my cards, back at the table. You can do this like this very, very fast. With something like Tabletop Simulator, you have to kind of look at your cards, and you have to zoom in, right? Look at what you're looking at the table, then zoom back out, and so that process of trying to mechanically zoom in and zoom out, I think is really what kills the essence of playing live again, other than obviously being with people and so forth, right? So we've got some of your people in the we got Carolina, we got Mario, same last name, so I think that you got some fans here.
Yeah, it's my father and my sister. Yeah.
he did this symbol on the on the emojis, which is kind of fun. So hello, Mario. Yeah. And Carolina, and we got Mike Bruner as well. Mike Bruner was asking, do you call Uno something else in Mexico?
Uno. It's the same.
It's a joke. I think he was making a joke as a good one.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing that people were wondering is let's talk a little bit about the channel, right? So you started this Geek and Pink Instagram account, having, I think, 12.6 thousand followers is what I saw last time I checked.
Yeah.
That is, in the span of less than a year, is unbelievable how fast you grew that, right? Like that is unheard of. That is the dream, right? For people that there's companies that are doing social media that don't get that kind of a following when they're pumping a lot of money into it, right? So how did it start? So I know, like, I go back to that first post, which ironically was not a half a face.
No.
Your half face was, I think, your third or fourth post. It was Sagrada from Daryl Andrews, who we've also had on the podcast here. Great game. I have it on the shelf behind me.
I love it.
Was that a fluke? Was it planned? How did that kick off the whole half face kind of gimmick?
It wasn't planned. I wanted to show like a face, but also the game. So I kind of put the game here, but I was like, no, here, no. And then I put it there and I was like, oh my God, it fits perfectly, in the picture and the half face.
Yep.
And it was like, this is what I have to do. And I never thought that it would make it this far, like the half face.
Yeah.
I thought that it was going to be like picture like that of a girl with a game and that, but it become like a signature face, like signature picture. And I'm like, oh my God, it grew. I don't know. I can't even believe how fast and quick and everything grow to be like how we are now, Yeah.
It's amazing. So, and I'm sharing on the screen while we talk here your Instagram account, right? So people can see, and as you scroll, you can see at the beginning, it was about 1 in every 3 pictures, I think, that was a half face. And then about, I think, 12 or 15 images in, every picture became half face. And it's really neat when you see it on a grid, right? So when you see the Instagram grid and you see kind of this mosaic of your half face with the game, it's cool. And in terms of picking, how did you pick which side of your face to go with? And then you stuck with it, right? So you never switch.
Yeah. No, I never switched. And well, it's funny because the last Friday and the Friday before that, I show videos showing like my entire face, but not like all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people unfollow me, and I was like, oh, they didn't like my whole face. Yeah, but I don't know. The half face started because I think I like better this profile. I don't know why, but it looks better with the sunlight that comes over here, and I don't know. I like more this side of my face.
Did you try both sides and then kind of land on the one side, or?
Yeah, I tried both sides, but it looked different. It looks better on this side. I don't know why, but it works.
When you go through your entire profile, there's only one thumbnail that you come across where it's on the other side. And what I realized, it actually isn't on the other side. It's on the same side, but the video is kind of flipped, right?
Yeah, I forgot to do the flipping, flip the image, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you read the name of the game, it reads Azul, but backwards.
That's right.
It's wrong. I forgot to do that.
So when you started off with the photos, and when I read the content of some of these earlier posts, you're talking about the game. You said, "Oh, this is a fun game. I love how this component works, and I had a lot of fun doing this and this." And there's a lot of people obviously liking that and so forth. And then as your channels progressed, you start seeing more, multiple, like a series of photos where you'll show like an unboxing, for instance, and things like that. Yeah. At what point did you decide you wanted to kind of move from static imagery to then video? And then how did you choose the kind of video that you want to do for your channel?
Well, I don't like to talk in my videos because my English is not perfect, as you can see.
Your English is great. You gotta give yourself more credit.
Thank you. But well, I decided to do only unboxings because they were like, I did on my Instagram what I wanted to see. I wanted to see the games. What do they have inside? I'm sorry. So I realized people wanted short videos that could show everything that's on the box.
Yeah.
So I decided to do that, and people also started to seeing those and liking those, and I figured like, oh, okay, this is good. I can do this, and well, that's how that started. In the pictures, I also wanted to showcase what's on the box also. So yeah. I take the pictures with everything laid out on the table, yeah, so they can see what they will going to buy if they buy the game, so that's how everything started.
And then in terms of the style, so if I look at the style of your unboxings, right, I mean, most content creators have done I've done unboxings, right? I'm usually like an animal ripping into a box, like I'm trying to shred into my UPS box and ripping packaging off, everything's going everywhere. Where yours seem more methodically planned out, right, where it's a top down, it's already been pre-opened, so it's like you open it up and you have everything organized and kind of coming out in an organized fashion. What made you decide to take that approach?
A lot of bad unboxings. I did like 2 unboxings that went terribly wrong because I was like opening the cards and I was like trying to smile, but like I couldn't open this. And I realized that wasn't going to work. So I decided to do the unboxing, like to say, I open the box, I take up the cellophane wrappings and everything, and I put it back on the box, and then I open the box and I take up everything like more fast, because if I do the thing of opening the cards and everything, I will take like a minute and people will be like, no, I don't like that. They want everything fast and I want everything fast, so I decided to do that. reopened.
It's very clear in when you look at your entire channel, and most channels aren't like this. Most channels are a bit messy when they start off, right? And then as they kind of progress, they kind of get a little more polished. I mean, even our Board Game Binge podcast is very much like that. You know, the initial episodes on an iPhone, no background, crappy mic, you know, and then eventually you get better. Where yours seems like you put a lot of thought behind every single post that you've done on this channel from the beginning. And I assume that's because you had kind of a quality or a certain vision in mind, right? When you create your content, how do you plan out your content? So in a typical week, how many posts are you doing in a week right now?
In a week, I do only on Sunday and Monday.
So 2 posts.
And 2 posts. Well, with the reviews and the pictures of the game. Okay. And the unboxings, I do it like on Tuesday or Wednesday or Friday. Yeah, something like that. So I can have content all week, mostly, you know? Yeah, but before I used to do, when I started, it wasn't like all cleaned up and like that. I used to do messy things, and I used to do like twice a day, like on 11 a.m. and on 8 p.m. Yeah. It was like, oh, crazy. I couldn't do that right now. Like, no, it's hard.
And then, so how do you plan it? Do you plan it for the week? So do you plan, okay, on Sunday, this is the game I'm going to do. The content for this week is going to be either an unboxing, or I'm going to do a half face, or I'm going to do some other kind of content. Is it planned out fairly far in advance, or how do you plan that?
It's planned. Well, I planned it like a week before. Okay. Like the next Sunday, I'll do. I always do Sundays with a big game, like a game that has a lot of content, and then I can post beautiful pictures. And Mondays I post a little card game or little games, you know, with less components. And only because I like to showcase a big one and a small one. And
I never noticed that, but I'm gonna start looking for that.
Yeah, I always do that.
That's cool. And then when I first, I think like most people in the industry, we've come across the half face, you know, for months, right? I've seen the half face quite a bit. The Geek and Pink challenge, I think, was for me probably where I saw like a huge hockey stick, what we call in Canada, but a huge uptick in your growth numbers. Was that for you kind of a defining moment, this Geek and Pink challenge? Yeah,
it was. I never expect the outcome of that, because, well, I thought about it and I was like, okay, it will be a good idea. And I asked a friend if he could help me, Brett Spiel Fever, it's called on Instagram. Yep. If he could help me like do the collage with everyone. And he was like, okay, I'll do it. And I was like, okay, it'll be like 50 people or so. And he was like, okay, I'll do it. And I started to ask everyone on the industry, like that I knew or have talked before. And everyone started to saying yes. And I was like, oh my God. Even Jamie Stegmaier. Yeah, for me, it was like, he said yes. I was like, oh my God. So amazed because of everyone told me yes. And I was like, without belief. And then a lot of people from around the world started showing their half faces with their board games. And I was like, this is unbelievable. It was like a week of like, smiling all the time on my phone and like, oh my God, this is amazing. I can't believe like these people from Africa sending the picture. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. For me, that was like what showcased me the most. Yeah. I don't know how to say.
Yeah, showcase. Yeah, it was definitely I would call a viral moment, right? So that was something that took off and had a life of its own. And so when something like that happens, that, you know, you hope that you're going to have some success, but it goes way beyond what you thought it would. What kind of growth did that, like how much followers did that add to your channel when you did that?
Oh, it was a lot, because when I started asking people, I asked them to do it because of my 8K. Mm-hmm. So everyone like, okay, for the 8K. And then people started showing the picture like, she reached 9K and now she reached 10K. And I was like, I didn't have the time to celebrate the 9K And the 10K, I did celebrate that with 10 giveaways. It was awesome. Which led me to the 11K. And it was like, oh my God, it keep on growing, you know? So it was from 8.5 to 11.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot.
At what point in your channel did you move from like sourcing your own games and buying your own games for your content to publishers just sending stuff to you? When did that happen? At what point did that start happening?
It's a really funny story because I was talking with Julian, the creator of Survive. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I got it on my shelf behind me. Love it.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
I started talking with him because once he asked me like, what do you think of Survive? And I was like, oh, it's a fun game, but you have to be really mean. And he was like, I'm the creator. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. But well, that's the truth. I love it, but it's like so hard.
Yeah.
And at one point he told me like, you don't have to pay the games. You're showcasing them.
Yeah.
So you have to ask the publishers to give you the games so you can showcase them.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And my husband was like, I told you. And I was like, okay. And then I asked some publishers and they started to give me the games so I can showcase them.
I know for some content creators I've talked to or people who are just starting out, that's a step that's tough for some people to do, right? To ask.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Right? To say, you know, why would they give me a game? Like, who am I, right?
I thought that, yeah.
Yeah, so
it's really hard.
Now you're at a point where you probably have way more games coming your way than you can handle. How do you filter through that? How do you decide which games you're going to cover and which ones you won't?
Well, it's I do have to do like not a casting, but also look at the games if they're a fit for me. Because as I said, I don't speak, well, I speak English.
Yeah.
But here in Mexico, not a lot of people play board games that have to read a lot of content in English. So when people with games like with a lot of questions in English and stuff like that, ask me if I can showcase their games, I mostly say no because I don't have no one to play those games. So I have to do like kind of a filter of games that I can actually play.
Got it.
So I can say yes, because if not, they send me and I'm like, okay, I can play that. I cannot play this. And it's like, oh, sorry, I don't like that.
And that's gotta be tough, right? When you get a publisher saying, look, I'll just send you the game. I'll give it to you for free, right? To have to say, nah, you know, but for the publishers out there, like when you're approaching someone like Elena here with a following like you have, now there's tons of people trying to send games your way, right? So it's not a personal thing, but you have to filter down somehow to make it, number one, fit your brand, right? Is there certain games you prefer to play? Like, is it Euro style more your type of a game you like to play, or what type of games do you like to play?
I prefer medium, not that hard, because I do have hard games, but they're like there forever until I can play them. I prefer like 30-minute games. I also play hard games, but it's harder for me to play them because it's harder to me to get someone that can play it with me.
The time commitment,
Yeah, the time, like I have Cerebria and I'm dying to play it, but it's 2 hours long. So to find someone that can play it with me, it's like so hard.
Yeah, I get it.
I need to have new friends.
And for me, I think that the industry there's so many games to play, right? There is no limit to the number of games out there to play. And I know myself, where I used to play games that would play 2-3 hours. Even myself now, if I go to a game night, I look for games that are 40 minutes to an hour because I want to play more games. I want to try 2 or 3 different games, right?
That's the same with me. Yeah.
Is there any advice you would have for someone who is starting off their channel? What are some things that you did to grow your channel? So obviously the Geek and Pink challenge is one. Your around the world video, which is really cool, where the game goes off to the side and then somebody else takes the game and you have a different box. Really
That
cool
wasn't
video.
my idea, but they asked me to do it, and I was like, yeah, I'm so pleased to do it.
It was awesome. It really was.
Yeah, thank you.
What are some other things you did to grow your channel, or what's some advice you give to other people who are trying to grow their channels, the things they should look to do in order to help them?
Actually, a lot of people ask me, and I always tell them to be themselves. Like write from their hearts and do what they do best. Like if they are good at showing pictures, like show their best pictures. And I don't know what worked for me. It's being myself on what I write. I'm like always from my heart, like, oh, I did have fun with this one. My family loved it, and I'm always myself. And that's the best advice I can give to anyone.
Your channel, I noticed your posts are always English and Spanish, right?
Yes.
You always write in two languages, which I think is really cool.
Thank you.
What would you say, or do you have a handle on how your audience is split? Like, do you have how much of your audience, for instance, is in Mexico versus, say, United States or maybe Europe or other parts of the world?
Yeah. It's funny because in Mexico there is a board game culture, but it's not as bigger as Americas or Canada, Europe. So my audience is 32% United States, 10% Mexico, and then it's like all over the place.
Everywhere
I think
else.
Canada is yeah. But most of my followers are from United States, and everyone thinks I'm from the United States because I speak my first.
Your post is always English first, then Spanish.
It's English first. So
I thought you were from the
thinks
States too.
Yeah,
when we
everyone
first
is
met,
like,
right? I was surprised.
Yeah, it's funny. Everyone when they ask me, I'm like, no, I'm not from the United States. I'm from Mexico. I'm like, what? And I'm like, yeah.
It's great, but it just goes to show how connecting board games are, right? And how games really transcend all countries, right? And it blows me away being a game creator myself when I see somebody send me a picture from another country on the other side of the world of them playing a game I created. Like it blows me away. So, or even in the podcast, being able to talk to people in Europe and in Mexico and different parts of the world, I think it really highlights the fact that board games are there to kind of bring people together, which is awesome.
It's awesome. I love that. Yeah.
Where is your channel going from here? So you obviously have reached a level of success that not many people have got to this fast, probably faster than you expected. Have you given some thought around, or do you have a vision to where you want to see this channel go and where you want to take your brand now?
Yeah, that's a hard one. Well, right now I'm starting my TikTok, but yeah, it's like so small. It's like less than 2,000 followers, but I'm like starting with that and seeing where that takes me. And well, I hope to keep on posting board games like I have been so far. I love that. And I don't know where it takes me, but I'm super fun, and it's super fun, and I'm super happy to be where I am now. I never expected to grow this far.
Any aspirations to do any kind of game design yourself at all, or?
I don't think so. I'm very bad at designing things. I'm not that creative, so I don't think.
Well, people look at your channel would probably not agree with that, but.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry. No, I don't know, but no, I don't think I'll do that. I don't know if I'm good at it.
You'll still keep just stick with the content. I would say 2,000 followers on TikTok is. I think there's a lot of people that would kill to have that already. So you're doing amazing, Elena. I want to wish you all the best with this channel. It is so cool to see what you're doing, and every time I see that half face, it just makes me smile. And you're killing it, and I just want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
No worries.
It was so fun.
All the best. You take care. Cheers.
Thank you.
This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply join the Facebook group Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.